The Environmental Protection Agency is responsible, ladies and gentlemen, for one of the greatest acts of pollution in modern times. And as this toxic liquid, this mix of arsenic and other toxins, works its way through one river after another, one state after another, one community after another, we hear absolutely nothing from Barack Obama. Zero. He's on vacation. Didn't they tell us he's available 24/7? He's got a phone. We know that. He's got a pen. He has a driver. He's got a putter. He's got a chipper. Yeah, he did golf today, right? Was he golfing with mostly white people? I mean, this is a very, very important question given the nature of our society today. Is he golfing with white people? Rich people? Christians? No. He was golfing with poor Muslim minorities. There's no question in my mind about that. On Martha's Vineyard. Why wouldn't he? But in any event, his administration, his legacy, is playing out in these rivers with this disaster. And over at the Washington Times, Stephen Denon reports the EPA is trying to cheat Navajo Indians. Remember the other day we told you this was going straight through the Navajo reservation. And we tried to make this a big issue the other day, several days ago. I told you nobody was reporting on it. Now people are starting to pick up on it. The EPA, listen to this, EPA is trying to cheat Navajo Indians by getting them to sign away their rights to future claims from the agency's Gold King mine disaster, tribal officials charged today, adding more to the administration's public relations problems over the spill that threatens critical Southwest waterways. I guess the people of California should count themselves among the lucky that dams and navigation systems weren't built from these rivers, or California would be destroyed too. It is underhanded. They're just trying to protect their pocketbook, Mr. Begay said in a telephone interview. He's the Navajo president, Russell Begay. EPA officials were going door to door asking Navajo, some of whom don't speak English as their primary language, to sign a form that offers to pay damages incurred so far from the spill, but waiving the right to come back and ask for more if their costs escalate or if they discover bigger problems. Okay, so the EPA is trying to cover itself. The EPA, that is the Obama administration. Now let's be clear. It's the Obama administration and that disastrous, iron-fisted Environmental Protection Agency, which is a capitalism destruction agency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if these were Republicans doing this, and somehow it involved the voter registration lists, we'd be hearing over and over and over again about the racist Republicans. We'd be hearing over and over and over again how the Republicans support Jim Crow. Well, let me tell you something. Obama's employees are now going through these Navajo neighborhoods trying to get them to sign declarations against their interest, which are binding legally, which many of them can't even understand. Who's the racist now, Mr. Obama? The spill has dumped millions of gallons of polluted water into the Animas River, which feeds the San Juan River and eventually the Colorado River, which provide water for grazing and crops in much of the Four Corners area, which is the confluence of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. The Navajo Nation covers much of that territory. The EPA did not have an immediate comment on Mr. Begay's charges Wednesday, the president of the Navajo tribe, or Navajo Nation, I guess they call themselves. Representative Rob Bishop, chairman of the House Natural Resources Committee, said through a spokeswoman that he's heard the complaints from the Navajo Nation and will be investigating the entire disaster. Chairman Bishop is outraged at the reports that the EPA is asking tribal members to sacrifice their rights after EPA's ineptitude has potentially threatened their health and livelihoods. The Navajo Nation president, Mr. Begay, said the situation is all the more enraging because the EPA has admitted it will take decades to clean up the spill, yet the agency is pushing for Navajo to calculate their costs now and sign away their rights for the future. Hey, you don't need to calculate anything now, and you shouldn't sign a damn thing. Get a good slip and fall lawyer, and you'll be in good shape. Don't sign anything. The Navajo president also said EPA workers have said there are other mines that could also face similar problems and said the priority should be on fixing those and cleaning up the current spill, which is still flowing, rather than trying to deflect liability. Our leadership from the White House, it's almost non-existent. And now they're asking us to waive, this is the president of Navajo Nation, and now they're asking us to waive all this stuff, and the yellow water's still flowing into the river. Nothing has been contained. It's just a huge, I don't want to use the word cover-up, but it's just government not doing its job, causing all of this to happen to our people, our land, and our economy. The EPA putting legitimate businesses out of business, shutting down legitimate, necessary coal mines, shutting down legitimate commercial fishermen, destroying one industry after another as it targets capitalism, as it advances the degrowth agenda that I discuss at length on my chapter on the environment. And look what it does. For some reason, so many people think, not most of you, but so many other people think, that if the government does it, it's noble. If the government does it, it'll be done well. Because you see, the government has as its purpose to benefit the people. No, it doesn't. The government has as its purpose to empower itself. These are long-term poisons. And this waste is moving its way through the Southwest. And this is a massive environmental disaster, man-made. And Obama can go on and on about climate change and the rising rivers and how he's going to prevent them. Well, get off your ass, get off your golf cart, come back to reality. If you're going to stop the oceans from rising, then stop the rivers from flowing. Because that yellow toxic mix is flowing now throughout 4 states. Though I know they're mostly Republican states, but still, it's America, Mr. President. This is a small EPA-supervised work crew, as Gateway Pundit explains it, inspecting the Gold King mine accidentally knocked a hole in a waste pit and released millions and millions of gallons of acidic liquid laden with toxic heavy metals. And there was a letter to the editor that was published the week before this happened in the Silverton Standard and the Miner local newspaper. And it was authored by a retired geologist 1 week before the EPA mine spill. And in that letter, which I'll read to you in a moment, he says how EPA officials would foul up the Animas River on purpose in order to secure Superfund money. He said if the Gold King mine was declared a Superfund site, it would essentially kill future development for the mining industry in the area. It would kill future development in the area. They would declare it a Superfund. The Obama EPA is vehemently opposed to mining and development in Alaska, Colorado, and so forth and so on. And I want to read you his letter in a moment because it's unbelievable how prescient this man was. July 30, 2015, 1 week before the EPA punched a hole through this mine, here's what he wrote. Letter to the editor. EPA plan is really a Superfund blitzkrieg. That's the title. To the editor. I came to Silverton this summer to enjoy my retirement, appreciate nature, and prospect the mountains for unique minerals. I came here to enjoy a simple life with no TV and no politics. But unfortunately, that has changed. Your EPA dilemma has caused my blood to boil. Again, this is before the EPA punched a hole in that mine. He wrote, based on my 47 years of experience as a professional geologist, it appears to me that the EPA is setting your town and the area up for a possible Superfund blitzkrieg. In regards to your meeting with the EPA on June 23, Mr. Hessmark, EPA's representative, his statement, we don't have an agenda, is either ignorant naivete or an outright falsehood. I am certain Mr. Hessmark's hydrologists have advised him what's going to happen when the Red and Bonita portals and plugged and the grand experiment begins with unknown and foreseeable results and possible negative consequences. He writes, here's the scenario that will occur based on my experience. Listen to this. Following the plugging, the exfiltrating water will be retained behind the bulkheads, accumulating at a rate of approximately 500 gallons per minute. As the water backs up, it will begin filling all connected mine workings and bedrock voids and fractures. As the water level inside the workings continues to rise, it will accumulate head pressure at a rate of 1 psi per each 2.31 feet of vertical rise. As the water continues to migrate through and fill interconnected workings, the pressure will increase. Eventually, without a doubt, the water will find a way out and will exfiltrate uncontrollably through connected abandoned shafts, drifts, raises, fractures, and possibly from talus on the hillsides. Initially, it will appear that the miracle fix is working. Hallelujah! But make no mistake, within 7 to 120 days, all of the 500 GPM flow will return to Cement Creek. Contamination may actually increase due to disturbance and flushing action within the workings. The grand experiment, in my opinion, will fail. And guess what? EPA Mr. Housemake will say then, gee, Plan A didn't work, so I guess we'll have to build a treatment plant at a cost to taxpayers of $100 million to $500 million. Who knows? Reading between the lines, I believe that has been the EPA's plan all along. The proposed Red and Bonita plugging plan has been their way of getting a foot in the door to justify their hidden agenda for construction of a treatment plant. After all, with a budget of $8.2 billion and 17,000 employees, the EPA needs new big projects to feed the beast and justify their existence. I would recommend that anyone who owns a home, property, water well, or spring in the Cement Creek drainage take water samples ASAP to protect themselves from groundwater changes that may be caused by the EPA plugging operation. God bless America, God bless Silverton, Colorado, and God protect us from the EPA. Dave Taylor, Farmington. Now, he didn't know exactly how this would occur, but he knew it would occur. And it did occur. The EPA says that it accidentally knocked a hole in the waste pit. What this writer said the week before is they're building up a toxic brew that will find its way out of that mine. They're doing exactly the wrong thing. The mine accidentally knocked a hole in the waste pit, we're told, the EPA. This needs to be investigated by the Republican Congress, by both houses, thoroughly and completely. This accident that occurred, and they need to bring this gentleman up who wrote the letter, Dave Stott. How is it that he could predict, in essence, not with particularity, but good enough, what was going to take place, and look what did take place. And now he's right. Watch how the EPA comes in, gives this area some type of Superfund status, in essence nationalizes it, prevents development, and does exactly what it wanted to do from the beginning. Who will be prosecuted? Who will go to jail? Anybody held personally liable for the damage that's been done? Or we, the stooges, are we going to have to pay the bill? Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are other attempts, people trying to mine gold and other natural resources. And you watch how the EPA uses this, their own conduct, their own gross negligence at best, to try and stop the others. Like the case in Alaska I told you about moments ago, where people are trying to mine gold. Who's going to be held to account? Where's Barack Obama? What tee is he on? Well, it's nighttime. Do they have nighttime golf in Martha's Vineyard? I'm not surprised if they do.